What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Dogecoin today. It is the third day of December. We have about 28 days and 6 hours left in this month. Really more like 28 days and 5.5 hours left in this month. Hit that like button, subscribe. We're going to go over some short-term stuff and some long-term stuff. I want to look at the monthly chart here and just put things in perspective for you guys. You know, historically, when Dogecoin has been at these levels on the monthly RSI or lower, we're typically at a low point, right? I mean, if we encapsulate this, we encapsulate this, we encapsulate this, we can draw a circle right here for now. We're typically at a low point in the price. Would have been the best time to buy in history for Dogecoin here. Would have been the best time to buy last cycle right here, and we did. Would have been the best time to buy Dogecoin here. I didn't this time, unfortunately, but that's okay. We've got other focuses, other prospects as well. But here you are at 15 cents. Now, typically in these areas, if you notice, you do stay here for a while. I'm forecasting two things. One thing that is very similar with what we do here, and another thing that's not similar at all. Typically, when we get to this area, we stay here for months. I'm forecasting a bounce. I'm forecasting that we will not be here for more than like a couple months at the most, right? We're not going to be here for 20 months like we were at these prior areas here. But the thing that we are going to do, like we have every single time we've been down here, is we are going to bounce. We are going to recover. We are going to move higher. And with that, Dogecoin should see an extension of its price action based off of this retracement here. If we use this from a high to a low, you can see that here, the extensions, the 1272 to the 1618, you went right up to the 1618 extension. If we use this high to this low here, you went right up to your 1618 again, found some turbulence, but pushed higher to the 2272. One can imagine, and it's really not any stretch of the imagination at all, that Dogecoin likely has a date with destiny to this 1618. We likely do pull up to $4 or somewhere around there by the end of this next move. Right? Dogecoin's been around longer than most cryptos have, and every single cycle is the same thing. Right? Pump, pump. In the very first cycle, a little pump there. Right? We haven't had any of these miraculous Dogecoin moves. We've had little tastes, but really we're in this upward sloping channel, higher lows and higher highs. We're spilling out a little bit, but we still have higher lows on a macro scale. And I think really, realistically, we're at a point to buy based off our RSI here. We look at the stochastics, it's the same thing. Typically, when you're oversold, it's actually the best times to buy Dogecoin. But again, typically when you get oversold on the monthly, that implies months, even a year plus of consolidation. I don't think that we're going to consolidate for a year plus, but you never know. You never know. If we do consolidate for a year plus, there's a positive to that. Long time for accumulation before we get to $4, and the negative to that is, well, it's going to take a long time. Another positive is we probably won't go too much lower, right? We're at these low areas in the RSI back here, you know, right here, same areas that we're at now, right here. Did we go lower than this low? Did we go lower than this low here? Yes. But was it dramatically lower? No. We really hung out in this area for quite some time. So worst case scenario, we're just going to be boring for about a year. Best case scenario, we actually are at a point where it's a higher low throughout this cycle, a higher macro low, and we're ready to rally. And we probably do rally. That'd be my expectation. Let's look at the short-term stuff. I just wanted to get a little pulse on the historical relevance of where we are now and what readings we're seeing here in the RSI and the stochastics. Let's look at the 1 hour time frame. We're going to zoom way the hell in now, and then we'll start zooming out from there. So the 1 hour time frame, and maybe on a chart with more volume. Coinbase here, building higher here, trying to push. You got this double top look and no volumes coming to save you. You're at 15.1 cents now. By the time most of you watch this video, I would imagine Dogecoin has pulled back down. Probably. You've probably pulled back down. 1 hour time frame, bearish divergence. 21 minutes left in this hour. It is bearish divergence. You do have a higher high with lower highs, but it's technically not confirmed until you have a red candle close. Because you could have a green candle that's small here, another green one that's small, keep on going, green ones that are small. You'll have that bearish divergence until you don't. So once you get a red candle, that'll validate the bearish divergence and likely send you back to prices that are around 14.5 cents. So we're talking about like a half-cent drop, maybe a little bit more than that at to be expected. At the worst, from a low to a high, the worst that I would expect is that we drop down to about 14 cents, maybe 13.8 cents at the worst. I don't think we go below this low, but likely what we'll see is something around 14.4 cents. 14.4, 14.3, something around there, find support, and then we move higher. Likely that's probably the outcome that we see happen. Stochastics bouncing off the 50, that's nice. You're just not getting any momentum. You've got all the reasons to bounce here and continue, but you're not. You're taking your time, so there's probably going to be some selling pressure. You probably do roll over here. Again, I doubt we go below 14.3 cents, but we probably do go down from here over the coming hours. We're on the hour time frame. This should not take weeks or days or months to fulfill itself. It should be a quick, by the end of today or sometime tomorrow, we find our low, and then tomorrow we're probably moving up again, or the next day we're probably moving up again. We look at the 4-hour time frame. 4-hour RSI looks strong here. Rejected the overbought zone, but you're pushing back up. That's nice to see. Stochastics are strong, and the MACD is about to cross above the zero. Typically, when the MACD crosses above the zero, that's when we stagnate. That's when we consolidate. So it makes sense that we might consolidate for like a day or two and then rally. Okay, day and a half to 3 days is typical of consolidation phases with this MACD like this. But overall, all positive structure that suggests that we go higher from here, that we're probably not done. And then, I mean, you look at this, talking about positive structure, we have this kind of W shape down here. Likely we do push higher over the coming days. Daily time frame here, looking at this, bouncing off the oversold zone. Wow, very bearish RSI, very, very bearish RSI. We have a lower low, lower high kind of trend here. And you've shifted that lower low, lower high trend into a bit of a sideways trend. Now you're moving sideways. Typically we see these shift from lower lows, lower highs to sideways, and then that shifts into an uptrend, higher lows and higher highs. So we're at the beginning, might not feel like it, but we're probably at the beginning right now of a new trend to the upside. Now, a new trend to the upside will break us out of this trend to the downside, but that does not mean that we go up to new relevant highs. We could, form a new trend, and then that's it, and then we go lower. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to. What we've gone over so far doesn't mean that we're going to $1 or $5 or anything like that. It's just saying higher prices. So if we are going to see higher prices, where might we go? From a high to a low, the expectation here should be, first, that we see prices around 18.3 cents and probably just above there. So let's say 18.3 to 19 cents. Somewhere around here is resistance. We probably find some turbulence and then build higher. I would imagine this move, this shift in trend here, this new dynamic with the RSI that we're starting to build would likely take us all the way up to about 22 cents to 23.8 cents. And then from there we can reevaluate. Okay. From a high to a low, it's very common that the first interaction with your golden ratio provides resistance. It's less common that you break through it, but that can happen too. Just because we break through it on the first attempt doesn't mean we're going to the moon immediately. It could, but likely you'd find resistance here if you don't find resistance here. Okay. Which instead of 22.3 to 23.2 cents, you'd be at 25.7 to 28 cents basically for resistance. But I think it makes the most sense. I mean, we look at this price action here. You've got a lot of turbulence along the way, right? We've got some prior areas of support here, which were met by resistance there. You've got support here, which is met by support here, which is met by support, resistance here. Very solid area right here to find resistance at. And I think this is the first zone we'll go to. Right above the 382. Probably closer to this white line than this white line. Find some resistance right around 18 to 19 cents, 18.3 to 19 cents. Then you'll probably see some volatility there, consolidate, and then continue to build. So all I'm trying to say, without trying to map out the future entirely and just rambling, what I'm trying to say is that from here, we likely do move up to 18.3 cents or higher. Okay. I don't care if we go down over the coming hours. I don't care if we stutter here or there. We're likely going to continue this move here from this low. We'll likely not find a high until we're at 18.3 cents or higher. Okay. And then at that point, you can argue that it's a lower high, that we're going to go down. We probably won't, but there will be some volatility, and then we probably build as time goes on. So I've got nothing else. Thank you all for being here. I'm very much convinced that by the end of this cycle, which who knows when that'll be sometime in 2026, maybe late 2026, maybe within the first half of 2026. It's really open-ended at this point. Theoretically, I suppose it would make more sense that it would be in the second half of 2026 than the first half at this point, but time will tell. Regardless of when it happens, I do expect Dogecoin will see prices all the way up at its golden ratio target of $3.95 or higher. When I say or higher, I'm not automatically considering these targets or these targets. No. I just mean maybe we go just above. It's very common to wick just above the golden ratio, at least for Dogecoin it is. So something around $4 or more would be what I would guess. Yeah, that's a 25x from the current price, let alone if we see any downward volatility along the way. And if I'm wrong about this, if I'm wrong about my assumptions that sometime in the halfway point of 2026 or the latter part of 2026 that we're up here, if I'm wrong about that, then we're just going to be moving sideways and be boring like we did here, and then we'll pump later and whatever. We'll have a lot of time to accumulate, but I don't think that's what's going to happen. Again, that thought is only predicated off of the readings that we see here on the RSI. But technically, we're not as low as we've seen before, so I don't know if we'll get those same results, right? We're just at a low point now where historically on Dogecoin's RSI, we typically do at these zones start to recover. So that's the main point of that. I got nothing else. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. Expecting big things from Doge. I just want to see real quick. We haven't measured this. Look at that low to high. That October 10th crash went right to your golden ratio zone and you bounced there. I'll see you on the next one. Okay, take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.